Well, here we go again. Kind of get y'all up to speed here. It's a 3-day muzzleloader season, non-quota. I've got a big buck, old buck. I've had him, I think the first time I ever saw him was in 2020, but I've had him on camera, not pattern, not regular, not nothing, miles apart on different cameras now since 2020. The only time I ever got him daylight was, I think, September of 2022. I believe was the only daylight picture I've ever got. I sat around last night and did a whole bunch of map scouting, and I've walked all this property. This will be the first time I've actually hunted him. But on Onyx, you can do the area shape, and it gives you the acreage and the line distance and all that. So I've left cameras on this buck all through the summer, year round, since 2021 probably. He's never been with another deer as far as on camera. Like all the other bucks are in bachelor groups, 3 or 4 of them. He's always by himself. I've never had him with a doe. I've had his track where he was cruising and cruised down an old road and something, at night for a long time, and obviously be his track just because of the size. But I've measured, like I did the area shape basically from everywhere I've had him on camera all the way around, like the perimeter of where I've had him on camera or where I've seen him. And it's just over 6,500 acres with a line distance of over 14 miles. So that's as close as I've got him narrowed down. Normally if I have a buck I'm hunting and I do that with, it comes up to like 250 acres, not 6,500. So this is going to be a whole nother level of tough. I mean, my chances are probably less than 1 in a million. But I'm going to dedicate these 3 days to him and see if I can find him. Or see if I can see him in the daylight. I know where he's at, or general area. But it's almost unhuntable. Like you can't walk in it, it's too thick. You can't crawl in it. Like it's just a tangle. And there's a few scattered little small openings. I mean, like there's places you might can see 50 yards. But you gotta walk through half a mile of tangle or crawl through half a mile of tangle to try to get in there. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna tackle it yet. In the morning I may just kind of hang out on the outside where I can see a little bit, and then once it gets daylight try to get into one of them little small areas. But I'm not going to sit the same place twice. There's only a couple places I could maybe hunt off the ground, so I'm basically going to be in the saddle everywhere I go, but I'm not going to sit the same places twice. I'm just going to sit and move. So if I only move once a day, that gives me 9 sits. So 9 places to be out of 200. So, but anyway, I don't have too far to go till I arrive at my destination. I got my clothes, Smoke. I'm gonna play on the maps just a little bit more, sit by the fire, and the wind's supposed to be out of the northeast. I'm gonna access from the east southeast. I probably won't bail off in it too much before dark. I'll probably sit somewhere, climb a tree somewhere fairly easy, but where I still could potentially see the buck. But imagine after daylight I'll get down and pick my way on through to where I want to sit for the evening. I may sit all day, or I don't know, but I'm wanting to throw some, like, have some cameras in my bag, and whenever I get in there to sit or see anything along the way or something, throw a camera up. If I don't get him these 3 days, I'm gonna hunt him hard when general gun season comes in. There's a lot of people know about this buck I'm hunting, so I got a lot of people know about him, and a lot of people that know about him, or the people that know about him, are going to be watching this video. If I don't kill him, I don't want to give too much away. Hopefully I can get it done these 3 days. Well, I made it in here to this open spot, or at least open enough to shoot down into. I got set up about an hour before daylight, 45 minutes. There's a trail that comes right through here down on my left and goes behind me and in front of me. I don't have high hopes here at all, but this is about the easiest opening, whatever you want to call it, to access. I figured I'd get this one out of the way first. I won't give it too awfully long, then I'm gonna go pick my way into something better. It's icy this morning. It was 22 degrees when I left the truck. It's only about 8:30. I haven't seen anything, but I honestly didn't expect to. I'm gonna get down here in just a second and check a few cameras and do a little looking around. I want to give myself as much time as possible because I'd like to get all my looking around done today. And I think evenings are going to be my best chance because I can just get in a whole lot better. It's a nightmare trying to come in these places in the dark. I want to be back in a tree fairly early this evening. It's 1:55. I just got back in the tree. We're back in a tree. When I got down, I checked some cameras and moved some cameras and walked in and checked some scrapes and covered a bunch of ground. I tried to figure out how to get in here to a ridge I wanted to hunt, but I can't do it on this wind, so hopefully we get a good wind for it one day these 3 days, because I'd like to get in there. But when I was easing up here, this is a long ridge that kind of runs out in a, I don't know what you call it, like a growed up marsh, overgrown marsh. It's planted pines. Runs out in it about 500 yards probably. And I was coming around the point back here about 300 yards. And there was a nice buck just feeding. He kind of spooked and went over here in this pond, or off this side in that marsh, whatever it is. The wind's coming about like this. I'm hoping they come out. over here in front of me. I know they lay, which they will lay back here, but I know they lay up here a lot. Got some good bucks on camera. The big one I'm after was on camera a bunch, but scattered around. I got a camera over here about probably 500 yards, and he was on that one like 4 or 5 days in a row and twice in the daylight. But he hadn't been back on it now in like 8 days. So that's what he does. Ain't no telling where he's at. He might be 2 miles over there, he might be right here. I'm just gonna have to put some time in a tree. Maybe I'll get lucky. It's 3:25. I'm just hanging out, playing on the phone, talking to a buddy. If y'all haven't checked out the WMA Sportsman YouTube channel, check it out. He's been going all over. You know, him and his wife passed a really nice buck a couple weeks ago. I forgot to tell you what I did earlier. I'm wearing these big old insulated boots because it gets cold. Feet get cold standing on this platform. And I was gonna go across the pond to throw a camera up on a little island, basically about half a mile. And it's a pretty deep pond, so I took my boots off and threw my left tennis shoe on and went to throw my right tennis shoe on, and it was a left tennis shoe also. I got 2 pairs of the same shoes, and I grabbed 2 lefts this morning and threw them in the truck. So I didn't go across there, so I'll do that tomorrow. I didn't want to get my only pair of warm boots wet. It's 6:30. The sun's setting, so I don't have but less than 30 minutes, I guess. I can't believe I haven't seen a deer. It's beautiful this evening. There's almost no wind, though. It's dead calm. I'm about to freeze to death. I've still got 7 or 8 minutes, but that's gonna be it. I did not see a deer from the stand today, but I'm still confident not to be depressed. I kind of knocked out the easier places. Now I'm gonna have to work for it a little bit. He's close to me here somewhere though. And there's more than one big one. The only picture of him I've had remotely even close to daylight in the past 10 days was about 10 minutes after legal shooting light up on the edge of one of these ridges. Chances are he ain't making it out of that marsh junk in the daylight very often. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get in there with him. I will see you in the morning. Well, a little update here. It's like 11:30. This wind is all over the place. I don't know why it's doing that. It's been out of the south, now it's out of the northwest, It was out of the south for a while. Yeah, go figure. But I was feeling like crap this morning, so I didn't get out too early. But I've went in a few places now, or tried to go in a few places. And places I've even been into before, but it's grown up. As you can see, this is pretty open. It's grown up since I was in here. But even this, if I wasn't carrying the bag and cameras and all that stuff, I could crawl through it and get into where I wanted to go. But I can't do it carrying all my stuff. So I just went in and hung a few cameras. And there's a creek up here. I'm gonna try to make it up here to the creek, and hopefully it's open. Where I've crossed it before, it was open enough to walk. So I'm hoping I can get in the creek and then run the creek up a half a mile and then get out on the edge of the creek and just hope for the best. I've seen sign out on some of the open ridges and stuff, but it's gonna be all nighttime stuff. So there's I don't know, probably this marsh junk, whatever this is like 4,000 acres probably. And the big deer's coming out on any side of it at night, whenever, you know. So there's no pattern in him. He's just in here somewhere, and then I've got 4 or 5 other shooters in here. So I'm just gonna try to get out in it and hope for the best. I don't know. I may not even sit today if I can get it, you know. If I get in there and there's nothing there, then there's nothing there, and I gotta keep trying, but it's rough. At least it's not hot. I'm just coming up the edge of this creek. I came off it just a little bit because I could see these pines. This opening's like 10 feet. Sorry I'm doing this on a little camera, but I just can't have the big camera out in this junk. But a little bitty opening, and here's a scrape. I mean, it ain't much, but there's a buck here. I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing and see if I could find one of these that is 50 yards, just where I could see a little bit. I'd probably sit it, but I basically made it all the way in here to the head of this creek. It's just a giant pond. And I've not seen a deer track. I was only planning on going like half a mile, and I've gone like a mile and a half. Not a single deer track. Which I'm not looking for a bunch of sign, because I don't think this deer lives around other deer. I think he's going to be by himself, but he would have to leave a track. And there's not a track. I'd had a couple pens I'd marked in here like 3 years ago, where I'd had buck tracks crossing the creek and stuff when I'd walk through here, just scouting. There's nothing on them. Can't even tell the trails are there anymore. I think I'm gonna go all the way back to the truck and go the other way down the creek. I've got to find something. It's almost 1 o'clock now. It's like 2:45. I'm coming across this strand. I went the other way down the creek and finally got into a whole bunch of deer sign. I don't think it's going to be the big buck I'm after, but there's definitely a big buck here by the tracks. There's a ridge over here, kind of the creek wise, and in that Y there's according to the maps, I've never been there, but there's a big pine ridge like 200 or 300 yards long. So I'm gonna get over to that. I've got these 2 cameras in my bag. Hopefully I'll sit there and leave the camera. I hope I ain't going through all this junk for it not to be worth sitting, but there's a rut of deer tracks coming through here, heading that way where they cross this creek, so I don't know which direction they'd be coming from. There's some big ponds on the other side, And there's some big ponds this way where they could lay. They could lay anywhere really, but typically I see them lay around in that thicker junk around the edges of those ponds. But it's kind of hard to do this being quiet, but I'm going to be as quiet as I can and get on in there. It's getting late. I made it out here to the ridge. I just came out of there. Crawled for about 100 yards and then pretty much just had to bust my way through to get out here. I'm going to get up here about 100 yards probably and climb a tree, I think. Not much for sign, but can't see sign. According to the maps though, they're here. Kind of an isolated hill between these two creeks. It's almost 3 o'clock, so I got set up with plenty of time. I would hate to say I have high hopes for seeing deer. But just while I was setting the camera up and all that, I was sitting here flicking cattail seeds. I keep them tied right here in front of me. And they're falling right over here, which is the forecasted wind. So if it stays steady, that is absolutely perfect. I'm not crazy about these bigger ridges like this, but this one's very isolated. I'll turn this camera on in a minute and show you. Typically when I'm hunting this type of terrain, I like points that that go out into the junk where they lay, so when they get up in the evenings, that point, and some of these places are thick enough they even lay on the point, but when they get up in the evening, that's the first place they make it to, and 90% of the time they're making it there before dark. So where I'm at now, they could be laying a mile away, I don't know. It's just a guessing game to whether they make it to this ridge in the daylight. I'm sure it's isolated enough they do sometimes. I'll turn this camera around. Got that point way back in there, I can see that's the other run of the creek that comes down through here. The Y of the creek is right over there. I came in from this way, but there's like a thin spot. It looked like on the map that goes through there that they could travel. I came in from over here, and that's the other creek. The intersection of the creek is over there, probably 450, 500 yards. And this ridge just stretches basically creek to creek, just a strip. So if they come through here, I'll be able to see them. The terrain's right, but I didn't see any kind of fresh sign. There was a bunch of old rubs. I can see this one. I hung the old Tasco before I climbed the tree, so I'm gonna leave it. All I did was walk from there back to here, but there's an obvious buck trail, might be a rut trail, whatever. But an obvious buck trail running right through the center of the ridge with years worth of rubs on it. So it's just early season. They don't rut here for another month and a half. I got 3 or 4 more minutes, but it looks like another day with no deer from the stand. I didn't even see a deer when I was walking around today. It's awful. I haven't heard anything or anything. I hung a cell camera on my way in there and it just went off with a doe and a yearling on it. I think the deer are moving. I just think they're not coming to these little isolated ridges and stuff. They're just taking their time and going out to the acorns and everything else and getting out there after dark. There's not really anything out here for feed for them other than just this natural junk browse. I can hear a long ways. I had a turkey walk 200 yards down here and I could hear it plain as day. And I haven't heard anything. I'm gonna do something different in the morning. This has gotten old quick. It's 8 o'clock and I'm finally in the tree. That was definitely top 3 worst things I've ever done. That was terrible. I almost quit several times. I knew it was going to be rough, but I didn't take into account that for, 500 yards, the cypress trees are closer together than my shoulders. So normally, like walking in to hang a camera or check a camera or whatever, I just turn sideways and go between them. Well, when I'm carrying a big bag with my camera junk, turning sideways does me no good. So I was fighting and pulling and taking bag off and putting bag on. I'm having to hold my gun because I had my headlamp and gear hanger. I keep hearing something over here. I had my headlamp and gear hanger in one of the side pockets, and normally when I'm walking through thick stuff, I make sure the zipper's to the back, so if it catches it just pulling tighter closed. I forgot to do that. I had it on the wrong side, so about 3/4 of the way in there I realized it was open and my flashlight and gear strap was gone. Hopefully I can track, it was muddy all the way in, so hopefully I can track myself back out and find it. Somebody might have been watching too much of my YouTube because I've been hunting around this area my whole life. I only know of one guy coming in here even remotely close to this. And he hadn't done it in 10 or 12 years since he got older.
and somebody had a bright eye line coming into a little ridge. I've hunted it several times, about half a mile behind me. It's generally good when the acorns are dropping in archery season and late season rut. But I don't normally see anything over there this time of year. I got these 2 cameras in my bag, so I'll probably sit till lunchtime and then hang down the buck sign. This is a little creek. I got in the creek about knee deep and walked up it for half a mile once I came out of the thick stuff. And the rubs and stuff crossing this creek were just unbelievable. But the last 150, 200 yards coming out here to where I'm sitting, I didn't see anything but tracks. There was tracks everywhere. But I didn't see any buck signs, so I don't know, I might have went a little too far, but I'm gonna try it. Well, it's 12 o'clock on the dot. I have not seen an animal. I did hear 2 squirrels. I'm not going to get in any big hurry. I'm going to just take my time, pack everything up, and get back over here in the creek. Slip back down towards some of them more open ridges. And maybe zig and zag and keep my eye out for some sign, but I want to hang these 2 cameras. And I'm just gonna slip slow and look and listen while I do it. I don't know, I feel like I know deer don't just lay around all day, and it's been, other than seeing those the first day when I wasn't in the stand, I haven't seen a deer, and I've talked to several other buddies that are hunting around here, and they're not seeing much either, so I think a deer just, they don't have to move much. They got everything they need right in them little thick patches and stuff, so they don't have to come out where we can get eyes on them. I don't like the moon phase that is right now. I know a lot of people don't care about the moon, but I like hunting the full moon. And then, like, as far as I always know the week after a full moon, I'm gonna be busy in the shop. That's when the big deer get killed. This last full moon was unbelievable. But anyway, I'm gonna look around a little bit and make my way towards the truck.
Well, I made it out. I think I can check that off my list of one of those things I'm never going to do again. That was terrible. Well, if you made it this long, God bless you, because that was boring. I'm going to go get me a burger or something, try to get rid of this sinus headache, get me a shower, probably take a nap, and then drive to the house. I was thinking on the walk out, I don't know how many years I've hunted this 3-day hunt. This is the second one. I've already hunted one and killed a deer and saw plenty of deer and everything else. And then this hunt here, I don't think I've ever killed a deer on this hunt. It's always like this. I don't ever see much. Might skip this one next year. I don't know. They gotta move where you can see them in order to kill them. But anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.